Consider this a quick disclaimer of sorts for these episodes. The first 5 episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 I watched back for my original reaction channel. However, because corporations suck, those videos no longer exist. And I do want the content of my reaction and the commentary that I provided in the post-episode discussions to exist somewhere just for posterity's sake, I suppose you can say, because I really did enjoy these episodes. I really did enjoy the kind of in-depth sort of analysis that I tried to do on the characters and what was happening and all that. So yeah, I think I might have made these videos freely available on my Patreon. I can't remember, but regardless, here they are on my reaction watch-along channel for people to enjoy. If they do well enough, I may continue watching season 2 because let me be very clear about this. I did not continue watching season 2 offline past these 5 episodes. I still have not seen the rest of season 2, so please, 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 if you are going to comment, and by all means, please do so, do not say anything relevant to the rest of season 2. Do not spoil anything. I have still only seen the first 5 episodes of season 2, that kind of back to the past school days arc, so do not say anything past that in your comments. But other than that, please do remember to like the video, please comment, subscribe, check out other stuff on the channel, all those good things that you can do to promote engagement and interaction with the channel. But yeah, maybe I'll continue past this arc if these videos perform well on this channel, but otherwise just enjoy these for what they are. Hello and welcome, one and all back to Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Last episode was honestly a little heartbreaking. We may not have gotten much time with Amanai, but it still hurt to see her go out that way. But hey, we got a fight with Gojo and Fushiguro, and that was pretty cool, I guess. And I have to imagine we're going to jump into this episode with a fight between Geto and Fushiguro now. And just kind of generally speaking, I expect a lot to happen in a short amount of time. Because again, we know this arc is going to be short, and we are fast approaching the end of it. I'm super curious to see what's going to happen, so remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and without any further ado, let's start watching. If you're watching on Patreon, then it doesn't matter who is fighting, you're going to need a countdown regardless, so here it is. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, no, don't make me watch this again. Oh. And from a different angle. Oh my god, why? Why? Showing us the same thing in a different perspective. From a different perspective. Wow, this whole scene, we're getting a different way. That's wild. That was very interesting, I think, that we got basically a redone version of that scene. That was wholly unnecessary, but I liked it. He just pulls out a gun! I mean, I guess it makes sense. If Gojo's assessment of him just straight up not being like a curse user, not being able to use curse energy, is accurate, then yeah, it would make sense for him to use more kind of, I guess, physical, kind of corporeal weapons in a sense. I felt like this guy was crafty enough that last episode when Gojo was telling us about how he fights and whatnot, I was suspicious because I thought it was entirely possible that Gojo's initial assessment would be incorrect in some regard. But somebody in the comments said that it probably is accurate, and I am more inclined to agree with that in retrospect, because I think that initially I was just kind of wondering if the cursed spirit that he was wearing, that he was pulling his weapons out of, initially I was just kind of wondering if that was not only serving to store his weapons, but was also serving to mask his presence. But I think it makes more sense for this to just be an innate part of how he fights and who he is, because it just feels more natural that way, given his, I guess, position in a sense, given how he is given his reputation that he has come to be known as the sorcerer killer, I think it being innate just makes just lends better to someone who has become so skilled at taking down sorcerers that they have become renowned for it. Where are we going with this? Oh, hey, look at that. He just kind of affirmed everything I was saying with that one statement. Oh, spirit gun? Geto used spirit gun. But oh, what the heck? Ugh. Thanks for explaining, I guess, but why are you? But now he's about to. Oh, okay. See, I remembered that talking about your power was a thing that made Jujutsu sorcerers stronger. I did not recall that that worked for Heavenly Packs. So thank you, Geto, for the clarification as to why this guy was talking so much. I appreciate it. Oh no, here it is. You killed her too, didn't you? God, I knew it. In my post episode discussion last time, as I was talking about various aspects of the episode, at one point I kind of realized, oh, he probably killed Koroi too. And yup, there's confirmation on that as well. God dang it. Ooh. Ooh. Hey Tengen, I don't know if you have the capacity to join in this fight, but if you do, can you? Whew. Man, it really feels like Fushigoro's not even breaking a sweat. God, what's happening here? Oh, oh, he's too much. What you got, Geto? Oh, oh, is he gonna get interrupted? What happened? Oh, jeez. Yo, is this like, oh, are we actually watching like an alternate timeline right now where both Gojo and Geto get killed in their youth? Like, oh, intentionally chose not to kill him because he might be a problem after death. Ow. Oh. What? What just happened? What was that? This guy. Wow. Why? I'm gonna need to rewatch that scene later. What happened there in that moment that made him recall, oh right, I had a son and I named him Megumi. What? Huh. Oh, that's disturbing. Rico-chan. I don't care who this guy is. Incredible. Oh wow, okay. Are we going somewhere with this? What? I mean, there's no guarantee that's not still going to happen. Just throwing that out there. Like, you hired this guy to kill the girl. He ain't protecting you guys afterwards. If the Jujutsu sorcerers decide to take action in retaliation, y'all are done. Yeah, I'm on board with him. Like I was trying to follow what their whole deal was right there, but I just wanted him to leave. Oh, they didn't kill her? Ah. I am yet again wondering where we're going with this. This just seems like such a weird thing to pay attention to right now. Cool. Had fun hanging out with you too. Why is he does he just keep that curse spirit on him? I mean, I guess that's preferable to keeping it in his stomach at all times when he's not using it, but Gojo? You good, buddy? Okay, you're alive. Cool. But are you really in are you really in a good enough condition to be pursuing this confrontation right now, Gojo? He's clapping on an he's high? Wait, what? Oh, he has lost it. What is going on? He's Zenkai boosted. He power spiked from near death. Ooh. Stretching your arms that far is a feat, my friend. It's got quite the flexibility with that physique. Ooh, a new weapon. Cool, cool. We'll see. What is up with him? Is it? I feel like your instincts are telling you to run and you're ignoring them. But I'm here for it. What is up with him? Huh? That was such a pretty shot. That quick little bit with that butterfly had no business looking that good. Know about what? Whew. It's his purple. Oh. Is it gonna work? We saw him fail using red 2 episodes ago, and now he is just the experience of this failure has enlightened him to the point that, man, it just completely unlocked his ability. Oh, I just realized what we were looking at. Oh, wow. Oh, dang. Yeah, pride is right. Is he gonna? Wow. Dang, man. That kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. As cool as it was to see Gojo use this experience to become, in a sense, the Gojo that we know in modern times, like, I said an episode or two ago that I hope there was a way this arc would resolve without Fushiguro dying because I wanted to see him in the future, but I feel like this was maybe not inevitable, but pretty dang close to it. uh, like sure, I don't like the fact that Fushiguro did what he did to Amanai, but he's such a cool character and yeah, it just in my opinion it kind of sucks that we're not going to get more of him. What's this? Oh. Oh, this is interesting. What's going on? Huh? Um this is so weird. It feels like Ghetto's talking him down almost, but Man, even right now? Even now? Man, there's only one episode left. Okay, so here in episode 4, we're kind of getting to see how high school Gojo becomes modern Gojo in a power scaling sense. But, like, I do not feel like we got enough of Geto to show us still at a personality level how we get from high school Geto to modern Geto. So I feel like I'm left to assume that next episode's gonna be a doozy of some kind. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I am still having such a hard time wrapping my head around what happens to what happens to Geto to change him so ridiculously much from the character that we've been seeing these past few episodes. I don't know. I don't know. Again, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. You can even check out the Patreon, linked in the description below if you want to support me further, as well as get access to the full-length reactions. But that's going to be all for YouTube, so until I see you next time for the final episode of this arc of Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, take care. Bye-bye. Alright, Patreon, so I think the first and possibly main thing that I want to touch on is going to be a bit of a weird point, maybe, but let me just run my mouth for a bit. So, last episode, I feel as though I lightly touched on this during the reaction, but I didn't really dive too deep into it. I felt like it was kind of odd that when Fushiguro first appeared, they decided to let Gojo try to handle him and have Geto take Amanai to Tengen. And I felt like this was odd because Gojo just got stabbed. Gojo was exhausted from having kept up his ability for like 2 or 3 days straight without having slept either. And also, you know that this guy likes to get up close and personal since he just stabbed Gojo. And so, from that point, I think it's pretty fair to assume that he is at least somewhat partial, I guess you could say, to close quarters combat. And you're not necessarily trying to beat him. Well, I don't know. I guess you are kind of trying to beat him. At the very least, you're trying to beat him back. But yeah, I think that I just feel like Geto was more suited to that fight because he uses curses. He uses what's the word I'm looking for? Familiars isn't entirely accurate, but he uses familiars, right? He's not threatening himself going toe to toe with this guy. I feel like Geto would have been better equipped to stall him, basically. Which, if they were actually going, if Amane was actually going to assimilate, stall tactics would have been far superior. I feel like even though they intended to offer Amanai the option to not go through with the assimilation, and she ended up wanting to take that, I still feel like tactics would have been better than Gojo just trying to match the guy, more or less, which is something that didn't quite work out in his favor. Narratively, I kind of understand why this happened. It seems like what we're going with is that this near death experience basically unlocked something in Gojo that helped him just like fast track his abilities. I think that's more or less what we're going with here, is that this fight gave him a clarity about the way Jujutsu sorcery and his technique in particular works that kind of allowed him to become the absolute monster and powerhouse that he is. I think there's also potentially an unintended additional narrative explanation for why they split duties the way that they did, and that is somebody was going to have to ask Amanai what she wanted to do. Somebody was going to have to ask her if she actually wanted to go through with the assimilation or if she wanted to turn around and leave. And I feel like Geto was the better person for that role. And I'm not going to go too heavily into why, just because I kind of talked about this. I don't remember if I talked about it specifically towards the goal, towards the kind of as with the kind of asking with this kind of God, I'm tripping over my words here. I don't remember if the context that I talked about this aspect of characterization in was geared directly towards the action of Geto asking Amanai what she wanted to do. But I did talk fairly extensively last episode in the post episode discussion about Geto as a character and being a good person and the way that he kind of is aware of and responsive to the words and actions and feelings of other characters from what we've been shown of him, even in just these few episodes that we've seen him. And so I feel like because of those reasons that you can hear me talk more about in that last episode's post episode discussion and thoughts, I do feel like in that regard, it was the right choice to have him be the one to go with Amanai. But I don't know. Overall I just feel like the in-universe logic is slightly lacking. I feel like the best explanation you could kind of give is that they're high schoolers, they're inexperienced with making these kind of heat of the moment decisions, and possibly also kind of cocky. Like they call themselves the strongest. And I think that, yeah, I think that inexperience and cockiness is a decent explanation for why they kind of, in a sense, allowed things to go the way that they did, with Gojo getting bodied and then Geto failing to protect Amanai afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. It feels bad. This is just me trying to make it make sense because I feel like while the story has been enjoyable, I definitely feel like it's a bit of a bumpy ride. It's a bit of a bumpy ride, I guess is what I can say, in my opinion. Being a little less analytical, though, and just talking about enjoyment, I thought this episode was a lot of fun to watch. The fight between Geto and Fushiguro, while it may not have been quite everything I was hoping for, it was still pretty good. It was still pretty fun to watch. It was still pretty enjoyable. It's one of those things where, again, I'm kind of upset that Fushiguro is not going to be alive in the future, in the modern times, for any kind of rematch like that to happen. But given the shift in Geto's worldview, that again, I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't know that these two necessarily would have been enemies going forward. It's hard to say, I guess. Um, and then we had a rematch between Gojo and Fushiguro, and yeah, that one was a little weird to watch, just because Gojo seemed really off throughout that whole. Honestly, I guess you could say he was kind of like that throughout the whole episode, yeah? Because it wasn't just like a single scene. Like even if you wanted to call that whole fight one scene, it wasn't just that scene, because then in the post credits scene where he goes and collects Amanai's body and he meets up with Geto at the religious built at the site of at one of the sites of the religious organization, the Star Religious Organization, whatever. Um, yeah, he just was not himself, at least not the way that characters such as Geto had gotten used to him being. And obviously, he doesn't stay this way. We know him to be, we know we know that Goofy Gojo is, still a very much still very much how he presents himself in more modern times. And but yeah, it was still enjoyable. Yeah, I still liked watching it. Um, what else? I know that there was some other things I wanted to say. Oh, speaking of Ghetto and not understanding how, and still not understanding how we go from his current worldviews and paradigms to later on. And speaking of those post-credit scenes, the main part of those post-credit scenes was Gojo collecting Amanai's body and Ghetto meeting up with him, and the two just kind of being sort of on odd footing with one another, even though nothing should have really changed in a sense between them. Even if things changed for them individually, it did feel like their dynamic was already shifting, but not in the way that I think a viewer might expect, given the future things that we know. However, there was another small tidbit that we got in the end credit scenes, which was Fushigoro's injured curse dragging its way to Geto. I really I feel like this might be the direction we're going, but I kind of hope it's not. I hope that there's some big thing that happens in the next episode that makes this shift from Geto feel more reasonable, feel more justified. But the road that it seems to me like we are going down is something that I commented on in as I was going over thoughts after episode 1 or 2. I can't remember. But I think it was episode 1. I think it was episode 1 because I think it was talking about the speech that happened at the very beginning of the episode, the way that we started this season. I pondered and put forth the idea that perhaps the reason Geto becomes the way that he does is due, at least in part, to the fact that his curse technique, in and of itself, is twisting and perverting his mentality, his mindset, the way that he thinks. I don't know if Ghetto's development is going to be normal and sensible. I think that what might happen, especially given what just happened and what we were just talking about, I think that once he chooses to absorb Fushigoro's curse, I think that again, I'm hoping we don't do this because to me it feels kind of lazy, but I feel like what we're being set up to be shown is that this curse is going to play a role in as going to be kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back. I think that we're being set up to believe that absorbing curses is something that affects Geto that he has to kind of stand stalwart against. And I think that absorbing this curse, I think something about this curse is going to be too much for Geto and is going to cause all of the other curses that he's absorbed to just kind of start affecting him in a way that leads to the mindset that we see from future Geto. Yeah. I feel like I'm taking a lot of time and words to say what is, in essence, a pretty simple idea. So hopefully that didn't get too rambly and cyclical in my description there. Uh, but yeah, I think that's about it. But let's go out on one more quick thing. Did I understand correctly that they didn't kill Koroi and they sent her off to Okinawa to just kind of chill? Is that I'm gonna need to. I'm definitely gonna be rewatching this episode, possibly 2 or 3 times, because I feel like there are some odd little bits that I want to kind of make sure I properly gleaned all the details from, especially as we go into the end of this arc, where I want to make sure once I have all the pieces that have been presented to us, I want to be sure that I am fully understanding Ghetto's story as it's been told to us before I get into like big talks and discussions on it. And so I'm going to be rewatching this episode. But yeah, if I understood that correctly, I find that a little odd. I find that a little odd that they decided to just let her live like that. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. But certainly wasn't the most interesting thing in this episode. I talked about some of those other things that I thought were more interesting. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about those other things, regardless of if you agreed with how interesting they were or were not. And yeah, I don't know. If you happen to be watching this, let me know what you thought one of the most interesting things from this episode was. Because my viewership, especially here on Patreon, isn't, I was gonna say high, but I might as well say isn't existent. I don't tend to ask viewer/audience questions, but yeah, feel free to tell me what you thought the most interesting thing from this episode was. Was it something with Geto, something with Gojo, something with Fushiguro? Let me know. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting on Patreon. And until I see you in the next one, take care. Bye bye.